The Apollo Theater backstage corridor smelled like cigarette smoke and ambition. February 18th, 1994, 11:47 p.m. Prince stood frozen outside the green room, his hand trembling on the doorknob. Through the crack, he could hear them laughing. Bass vibrated through the wall, rattling his rib cage. His purple velvet jacket suddenly felt too tight, too 1984, too irrelevant. Prince? That dude is done, yo. DJ Eclipse's voice cut through the haze. 27 years old, Brooklyn's underground king, surrounded by his crew. Purple Rain was cool for the 80s, I'll give him that. But this is 94, son. We got Wu-Tang, we got Tribe, we got Snoop. What Prince got? Some tight pants and a guitar? The crew erupted in laughter. Turntable scratches punctuated their mockery. 808 bass vibrated through the walls. Eclipse continued, emboldened by his audience. Old school show, man. That's all he is. Can't even freestyle. Can't even produce a beat on an MPC. Just some... Prince pushed the door open, all the way. 12 people froze. Eclipse's hand hovered mid-scratch over the vinyl. The room went silent except for the kick drum still thumping from the sound system. Prince's chest tightened. Not from anger, from something worse. Recognition. Maybe they were right. Maybe at 35, he was already a relic, a museum piece. The 80s embalmed in purple velvet and tight pants. Eclipse stared at Prince. What he saw in those eyes made him uncomfortable. Not rage, curiosity. And when Prince got curious, history had a habit of being rewritten. Continue, Prince said quietly. I want to hear the rest. Nobody spoke. You were saying I can't produce on an MPC. You were saying I'm finished. Prince stepped into the room. Were you inviting me to prove you wrong? Or just talking? Eclipse swallowed. His crew watched him, waiting. This was it. The moment that would define everything. Apollo Theater, Eclipse said, voice steadier than he felt. You and me? Live. Machines versus whatever you got. You down, old man? Prince smiled. Not the cocky Prince smile the world knew. Something else. Something that made Eclipse's stomach drop. February 18th, Prince said. 3 weeks. And when I'm done, you'll understand why legends don't need permission from history to stay relevant. The door closed behind him. Eclipse's crew erupted in celebration. But Eclipse couldn't shake the feeling that he'd just challenged something far more dangerous than an aging pop star. He'd challenged a force of nature, and nature doesn't negotiate. 3 months earlier, November 1993, Prince watched MTV at Paisley Park, face expressionless. The 80s are over, the VJ announced. Prince, Michael, Madonna. They had their time. This is the future. Images of Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, G-Funk swagger. Prince threw the remote. Screen cracked. His father's voice echoed from 1973. They're gonna box you in, son. Don't let them. You gotta speak their language. 20 years later, Prince had mastered every language except the one that mattered in 1994. Hip-hop. And hip-hop had decided he was irrelevant. The challenge came via fax, January 1994. A single sentence on Brooklyn Records letterhead, Apollo Theater, you versus me. Live, unless you scared, old man. Prince's tour manager, Alan Leeds, stood in the doorway. This is a trap, Prince. Eclipse wants you to say yes. His whole career depends on this moment. Who is he? 27. Produced tracks for Black Moon, Smith & Wesson. Underground legend. Hungry enough to eat you alive if you're not careful. Jill Jones, Prince's longtime collaborator, shook her head. This isn't your arena. Hip-hop kids don't want guitar solos. They want beats and samples. Prince stared at the fax. Send him a message. I accept. But with conditions. What conditions? He remixes my songs. I play his beats. Live instruments versus machines. Apollo Theater, February 18th. And we settle this in front of everyone. Alan's face went pale. Prince, that's Black History Month. Apollo is sacred ground. If you fail there, I know what Apollo is, Prince interrupted. That's exactly why I'm choosing it. In a Brooklyn basement studio, DJ Eclipse read Prince's response, his hands shaking slightly. The fax paper felt like a contract with fate. Yo, he accepted. Eclipse looked at his crew. Prince accepted, his crew celebrated. But Q-Tip, visiting from a tribe called Quest, stayed quiet. He'd seen this movie before. Young lions challenging legends, learning too late what legends were made of. Eclipse, Q-Tip said carefully. You know Prince plays like 27 instruments, right? Eclipse waved him off, but his confidence felt paper thin. So, I can program 127 sounds on this MPC. What's your point? My point is you just challenged a genius to a musical IQ test. The room went silent. Eclipse looked at his MPC 3000, the machine that made him legendary, and for the first time it looked small. Eclipse looked at the MPC 3000, the machine that had made him legendary in underground hip-hop. Then he looked at Q-Tip. You saying I'm gonna lose? Q-Tip smiled sadly. I'm saying you better bring more than beats, brother. You better bring innovation. 2 weeks before the battle, George Clinton showed up at Paisley Park, dreadlocks wild, energy cosmic. Going to war with the young bucks? George settled into a chair. It's education, not war. George laughed. That's what we said in '75. Then we got educated. Funk had to evolve. You don't fight children, Prince. You teach them. But first you learn from them. After George left, the words stuck. Children. Hip-hop had been built on samples from his generation. James Brown breaks, Sly Stone bass. These young producers weren't enemies. They were archaeologists building something new from funk's ruins. Prince studied, bought an MPC 3000, learned programming at 3 a.m., analyzed boom-bap patterns, deconstructed beats, transcribed hip-hop onto sheet music. He found the jazz in the samples, the funk in the loops. Hip-hop wasn't alien music. It was his music, rearranged by a generation raised on what he'd created. February 18, 1994. 10 p.m., 1 hour before showtime. Prince sat in the Apollo Green Room, hands shaking. Panic attack. Outside, 3,000 fans chanted, Eclipse! Eclipse! A knock. Chuck D walked in, sat across from Prince. You know why they're chanting his name? Chuck asked. Because they're scared of you. You're their childhood, and their terrified childhood doesn't survive into adulthood. So this is a mercy killing, or a resurrection. Chuck stood. That guitar is 200 years of musical history. His MPC is 10 years old. You got centuries on him. He paused at the door. Oh, and Prince? Eclipse is next door. Kid's hands shaking worse than yours. After Chuck left, Prince stared at his guitar. His hands stopped trembling. Outside, the chanting sounded different now. Not like judgment, like anticipation. The Apollo stage was divided like a boxing ring. Left, Eclipse with MPC 3000. Turntables, massive speakers. Right, Prince with one guitar, small amp. Purple spotlight waiting on his side. The air thick with smoke and electricity. 3,000 people. 95% hip-hop heads. The energy was tribal, dangerous, electric. This wasn't just a concert, it was a trial. Chuck D took center stage. Apollo! Tonight we got history. Old school versus new school. First up, DJ Eclipse. The theater exploded. Eclipse hit a button. Boom. 808 kick. Bap. Snare. Boom, bap, boom, bap. The beat was filthy. Pure Brooklyn underground. Eclipse cut samples, scratch breaks, transformed rhythm in real time. 3 minutes of hip-hop mastery. He grabbed the mic. Aight Prince, that's 1994. Show me what 1984 can do. Prince walked to his guitar. The crowd murmured. Feedback shrieked. Then he played Eclipse's beat, note for note. On guitar, 808 kicks became bass thunder. Snares became percussive slaps. Hi-hats became muted scratches. He was translating machine to human. For 15 seconds, confused silence. A girl in the third row whispered, Is he mocking us? Her friend grabbed her arm. No, he's learning us. Someone yelled, Yeah! He's playing the beat on guitar. Prince layered it, funk stabs, jazz progressions, blues bends. The beat breathed now. An old head in the balcony, 50 years old, wearing a funkadelic shirt, stood up, tears streaming. He understood. This was bridge building in real time. Perfect tie. Prince walked to Eclipse's MPC. The crowd gasped. Yo, is he really? Prince sat, fingers on the pads. He programmed a beat. Live. In real time. It was choppy at first. Beginner fumbles. The crowd murmured, uncertain. Then it locked. The beat was funky, Prince's DNA obvious, but structured in hip-hop's language. He sampled his own guitar lick from round one, chopped it, looped it, flipped it. Then while the beat ran, he picked up his guitar and played over his own programming. The crowd erupted. Yeah! He's doing both! Questlove grabbed his friend's arm, eyes wide. Questlove, 20 years old in the front row, grabbed his friend's arm. Yo, is he producing and playing live at the same time? I think, his friend stammered, I think he's speaking both languages. Prince stopped, looked at Eclipse. Your turn, play Purple Rain. No samples, just you. Eclipse's face went pale. He knew guitar, but not like that. He couldn't play Purple Rain on any instrument except the MPC. But then Eclipse did something brilliant. He grabbed the mic. I can't play it. You got me there. But let me translate it. He remixed Purple Rain. Live. Chopped the guitar solo into stabs, added boom-bap drums, flipped the chorus into a hook. The melody was unrecognizable at first. Then suddenly, there it was. Still Prince. Still Purple Rain. But wearing new clothes, speaking new language. Breathing 1994 air. The crowd lost their minds. This wasn't disrespect. This was evolution. Chuck D raised his hands. Aight. Y'all both proved your point. But Apollo tradition says we need a winner. So here's round 3. Y'all work together. One track. Right now. Whoever refuses, loses. Silence. Prince and Eclipse looked at each other across the stage. You cool with that, old man? Eclipse asked. Prince smiled. Only if you stop calling me old man, kid. What happened next would change music history. Eclipse started a simple 4-bar loop. Prince added guitar, funky, and syncopated. Eclipse chopped Prince's guitar live, re-triggered it as a sample. Prince responded by playing around his own chopped self. Back and forth. Call and response. Machines and soul and conversation. The beat evolved. Eclipse's 808 met Prince's bass guitar, creating sub-frequency earthquakes. Prince's jazz chords married Eclipse's boom-bap. Eclipse scratched Prince's vocal ad-libs in real time, while Prince soloed over his own samples. At minute 7, something magical happened. They stopped competing. They started listening. Eclipse closed his eyes, feeling Prince's rhythm in his bones. Prince watched Eclipse's hands, learning the chop timing, the pocket, the swing that separated good producers from great ones. The beat became a conversation, question and answer, elder and student, past and future, speaking the same language. Someone in the crowd started crying, then another. The music had transcended battle. This was communion. The crowd went silent. Then they swayed. Then they danced. 3,000 people moving as one. George Clinton stood side stage, tears streaming. Now that's the funk I was talking about. Questlove would later say, that night I watched neo-soul being born. I watched live hip-hop being born. I watched 2 generations become one language. They played for 12 minutes. When they ended, synchronized, organic, perfect, silence held for 3 seconds. Then the Apollo erupted. Standing ovation, 9 minutes of continuous thunder. People weren't just clapping, they were witnessing. Old school and new school on their feet together. A 50-year-old man hugged a 20-year-old kid he'd never met. You understand now? The old man asked. The kid nodded, crying. Yeah, I understand. Prince and Eclipse stood side by side, soaked in sweat, grinning like kids who'd just discovered fire. Eclipse extended his fist. Prince bumped it. The photograph of that moment, 2 generations, 1 gesture, would hang in the Apollo lobby for the next 30 years. Backstage, they sat in silence. I thought you were done, Eclipse said. The 80s are dead, but I'm not. Prince looked at him. You're talented, but those beats, pure funk, chopped up. You're recontextualizing old music. That's genius, but understand where it came from. Eclipse processed this. So I should give you credit? No. Give yourself credit for curation, but know your foundation. 2 weeks later, they recorded Generations at Paisley Park. The track never got official release, too experimental, but bootlegs became legend. The blueprint for The Roots, D'Angelo, Erykah Badu. Questlove, 2024. People ask when Neo Soul started. February 18th, 1994. The Apollo. That was the night live instruments and hip-hop stopped fighting and started creating. So here's the question. What old school part of yourself are you dismissing? What new school are you resisting out of fear? Prince could have refused that challenge. Eclipse could have stayed in his lane. Instead, they built a bridge. Your move. What extinct skill of yours deserves resurrection? What new language are you afraid to learn? Drop your answer below. Because this story isn't about 1994, it's about right now.